So, hey guys, we're going to dive a little deeper in food and culinary management. I mean, we briefly spoke about it before, but I just want to touch some bases and tell you, basically explain why it's important and, different guidelines you have to go by. So, following a strict food menu is an assisted living facility is of utmost importance for several reasons, really. Primarily catered around health and well-being for your residents. So you can't just feed your clients anything. And you can't just, fly by to see your parents when you're actually giving them food. So you have to be very strategic about what you feed your clients. So nutritional needs, assisted living residents often have specific dietary requirements due to their age, health conditions, and medication. So when you're doing your menu, a lot of times when you bring in a client, you'll have a set menu. And then when you bring in a client, that client may come with their own specific dietary needs. So they may come saying, you can't feed this client salt. They're hot, they have high blood pressure. They're diabetic. You have to, give them this food. It'll be well written in their care plan, and you'll get their face sheet from the doctor, which all goes in their client book. So each client book has all that information in it. And when you're doing your orientations with your staff, which we just talked about, the part of your orientation will be to go over your client books, and their nutritional needs will be in that client book, right along with their medications and with their care plan. So it's all intertwined. It's all together. So a well planned out menu ensures that residents receive necessary nutrients, vitamins, minerals they need to maintain their health and energy levels. And you can't feed clients junk food. So when families come toward a place, when the state come, they're gonna look in your fridge. It's one of the things they're gonna do. They're gonna look in your fridge, they're gonna check your menu, and they're gonna make sure you're following the menu. They're gonna make sure your fridge is cool to a certain temperature, because some people, don't know how to properly store food. That's why they make most people take nutrition classes. If you don't have a nutritionist, like, you have to either take that class or have a nutritionist. Most people, when you get your license in most states, you have to even take a small nutrition class. It's like a day, but they make you take it because you have to know how to store food. So, you get imagine you feed someone some thawed out chicken that's been sitting on the counter too long and they all get sick. And now you just, killed everyone in your facility, possibly. So you have to know how to store food. You have to know what food to give someone. You may have a client that come in and they need their food pureed, which means it has to be blended. They can't really eat hard food. They may be up to that point where they have to have it pureed. So you have to have a consistent and carefully crafted menu. Whenever you change your menu, you have to get your dietitian to sign off on it. So like I said, you don't have to have them come in and physically look at the plate, but you have to say, these are the things I want to serve. They'll look at it, they'll stamp it, they'll sign it, and they'll say, yes, this is appropriate, or no. If it's not signed by a dietitian, then the state can come in and cite you. So you have to make sure you have it. And it's just a call, and you pay them a small fee, and you keep it going, you keep it moving. And normally, what I would do when I have a dietitian, I'll just do menus for a few months, for like 6 months. I'll send it to that person, have them read over all of them, and stamp them, and then I'll have stamped menus that I can interchange, for each month, so they don't continuously eat the same stuff. So, and then, honestly, you can look online and find menus and things like that. I did that all the time because I'm not a huge cook. So, I had to figure out what to feed these people because, I was young, eating junk food mostly, not even taking care of my own stuff the way I should have. And I was working out, but I was eating like a wild animal. So I learned a lot of stuff. I learned a lot about, my own diet needs just by learning what and what not to feed my clients. So actually, that was around the time I cut out fast foods and like started trying to eat more healthy, just from like making my clients, I had to let them eat healthy. So I just started eating what they ate when I worked there. So it kind of just changed my life. So then you have clients with specific allergies and dietary restrictions where, you have to stick by as well. So that's why I'm saying when you have your staff meetings, you go over each client one by one, and you say this person has a nut allergy. And then you'll have a board in your facility, and you have a board in your kitchen as well. And on that board, if someone has a serious allergy like that, you just put on that board, like, reminder, so-and-so has nut allergy. So-and-so has shellfish allergy. So-and-so does not eat this. And then you have to make a deviation to the menu. And when you make a deviation to the menu, you also have to document that down as well. So then you'll have a menu deviation log. You have that in your client book. It's in the same book that, you have your daily logs in. But then in that book, you say, we cooked this, but, we deviated from the menu because this person does not eat this, or we ran out of this, so we deviated from the menu and cooked something else from another menu that was signed off on. So as long as you even document, sometimes you may have to cook something else from another menu, and it may not be on that must menu. You just have to document exactly what you fed the people and what time, and you'll be fine. The state won't cite you for that. And like I said before, you have to have a dietitian approval. So means of assisted living facility be developed in collaboration with a registered dietitian or nutritionist. They sign off on your meal. And it's just to offer you a layer of protection and say, hey, like, this menu was approved. So, we're all good. Everything you have, it's just more security for yourself and your business when you have a dietitian sign off on your menu. And it's, and if you work with a dietitian that's good, you can ask them for menus because they've seen them all and they have copies of them all. So you can call a dietitian and you don't even have to have a menu. You can ask them to send you a menu. You can say, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm like, that's what I did. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? Can you help me make some menus? Can you send me some menus? And the dietitian was, sure, I'll email you the 5 menus that I've approved and done in the past. And you let me know what you think about them or if you need me to make some changes. Send it to me. I'm like, okay, great. So, like meals are good too for your social interaction. This is more like the community setting. So you have your meals, you kind of create an atmosphere where everyone talks, and you can come up with topics for, I always like to make dinner time sort of a family event where we all say what we're grateful for. And I actually wrote that in my policy. Some people don't do it, some people do. But I try to, encourage conversation amongst the clients. We all say what we're grateful for, what we want, like how family's doing. And just so like your clients can get to know each other, the staff can get to know your clients. So it's not just like, oh, eat your food, everyone's quiet, and then you leave. I always try to make dinner at least an activity, whether it's, talking about your family or playing some kind of word game or like telling funny stories. Like, oh, what funny happened to you? Can you give me a story from like the 80s? How was the 80s? So let's talk about that, So try to make dinner and a fun activity for your clients so they look forward to it. Set out fun placemats. So when they see them, they'll say, oh, it's dinner time. Oh, this is fun. It's a fun time of the day. And then it just makes, it better when you have everything menued and approved. You have efficient meal planning. So you set your menu, your staff doesn't have to worry about what's going to be cooked. You know exactly what to order. So there's no food waste because you have your portions. So you're saying, okay, I know we're serving chicken, rice, vegetables, fruit on Wednesday. You make sure you have that stocked in your facility. And if you don't, your staff can you put in your policy and procedures that they do checks. So every day they go and they do checks. That whoever is in charge of that, they go in, they do their check, and they say, okay, we have everything we need for this day or in the next day for dinner. That way, there's no surprises, and you don't have to deviate from the menu. So, if you do need something, you can quickly order it and have it in time. Now I told you like things are just a lot better now because you can have things delivered. So there's no need to not have the portion that you need, and there's no need for food waste in your facility because food is going to be one of your major expenses. So you definitely don't want to waste food. And it's just, better practices. Try to have fun meals to eat. You know, don't make it boring for your clients. Try to hire staff that can cook. And that's important. That was one of the things for me. Having small facilities, you can't really afford to hire a cook all the time. So I like to hire staff with a cooking background or at least some training or someone that's willing to learn where you can send them to a class and they learn how to cook a few meals, or you send them to a once a month class or something like that. And they just learn, better techniques. And with these menus, you can easily pull up recipes. So you print out recipes that go along with the menu. So even if they know how to follow directions, they can make a decent meal with portions and everything. We'll print it out right from the internet, and it'll taste fine.